So who are the best and the worst brawlers in Brawl Stars? Stick around for this video because we're going to go over my opinion on who needs some love and who is crazy OP coming up right now. Hey guys, what's happening? Lex back today for another updated best and worst brawler list. Okay, so we've had lots of balance changes, and so where does that leave us now with our current brawlers and how good they are? Well, I still haven't unlocked any legendaries. Rip me. I do have 444 chips, so I'm getting close. We'll see on that front soon, but let's talk about the best and the worst brawlers. Now, I'm going to leave out, again, the legendaries just because I haven't played them, but if I had to, I would choose Spike and Crow would be up there near the very top. Crow's got to be one of the best right now, and Spike is not far behind, or actually, if at all behind. They're just a little bit different. They're both really, really strong, so I could easily put them up there at the top, just so know that. But before we get into any of that, let's talk about some of the other brawlers. Who's the best? Who's the worst? All right, let's start off with the second best brawler, in my opinion. All right, so the second best brawler is a little bit of, not of a shock, but because he received so many buffs here recently, it's really made him into just a powerhouse of a brawler, and that is my man Dyna Mike. As you can see, I just recently maxed him out because he is so incredibly OP right now that he used to be one of the worst. In fact, I think one of my very first best and worst lists, I put him dead last because he just really wasn't that great. But now with the buffs that he's received, he is really good. So guys, if he's just a common brawler, so if you get him on early on, he's a little bit situational because he doesn't really do well in open maps. He likes to hide behind cover and throw his bombs over the top of it, but he does a ton of damage. I mean, just a ton of damage. If you watch one of my most recent videos of me maxing out Dynamike, you'll see that his damage output is incredible. So Mike is no longer near the bottom. In fact, Mike, we're going to put him all up in slot number 2. It's pretty amazing. Actually, for a tie for second, I could easily put Barley because Barley, it kind of fills the same role as Mike. It works a little bit different. It's not instant damage. He does better at area denial, but his super is really good, but his standard attack doesn't do quite the damage that Mike does. But they both could be, you know, neck and neck for, you know, 2A and 2B. So Dynamike and Barley are both really strong brawlers. Okay, so let's go to the next to the worst last brawler. With that said, and I hate this, it's going to break my heart a little bit, but I think it's got to be Bo. Bo is like, he's really decent at a lot of things, but he's not really great. I mean, he's got a lot of hit points. He does, his standard attack does okay. It doesn't do very much damage. You're usually not going to connect with all 3 arrows, so it's pretty low damage output from his standard attack. And his super, though, his super is really good if it gets tripped off and people run into it, which once you start seeing them, it's relatively easy to avoid them, except for me because I suck at that. So Bo, I think if they made him a little faster, maybe if they gave him a little bit more speed or even a tiny bit more damage on his base air attacks, would really bring him up into the mid-range, which would be fine. I'm okay with lots of mid-range brawlers. I don't care to have any that are really bad and really awesome. A bunch in the middle, nicely balanced. I think that's what they're striving for, and I think Bo needs still a little bit more love to get him there. But he is a good brawler. He's just not really, he doesn't excel at any one thing. He's just average at most things. So I don't know. All right, so let's talk about the best brawler. In my opinion, this is really also, again, a toss-up between 2 brawlers. Maybe I should have just done a tier list, but I don't know. Between Jesse and Piper, they're both really strong. So they both fill different roles. Jesse's turret is just out of control. It does so much damage. It has to be accounted for almost immediately, or else it can wreck everybody real quick, especially if there's other distraction around and you're not focusing on the turret. It does so much damage, and she's really coming to her own. The thing I will say about Jessie is that it's a little bit harder of a skill cap because her shots don't fly really fast. They're a little bit slower. I mean, they're not slow, but they're slower. They're easier to dodge. However, if you can get them grouped up and you can start chaining them off of people, it does a lot of damage, and then that builds up your super really quick, leads to a turret, and it's just a chain effect from there, no pun intended, that her chain attack will really just make her incredible. And then, of course, Piper. I think that Piper has found a nice place. They nerfed her main shot by only 20, which wasn't a big deal, but they nerfed her super ability, which I really agree with because her super, to me, is more about getting out of trouble, not so much inflicting damage. So it's useful to break down walls and to escape. It doesn't need to completely wreck somebody because before, when it was doing 375 a bomb, that's crazy talk. I mean, I know it's her super ability, but her normal attack does so much damage anyways that I didn't think it was really needed. So I like what they did with the nerf to Piper, but between Jessie and Piper, either one are just incredible. If you haven't unlocked Piper, don't feel bad about dropping plenty of elixir in Jessie, because she is a menace to society out on the Brawl field, and she's really, really good. And of course, Piper, if you can't get out of her sight range, and if you got good aim with her, whew, she does some serious work. So Piper and Jessie, kind of a toss-up. So 1A and 1B is Piper and Jessie, and 2A and 2B would be Barley and Dynamike. So for the last brawler, I'm actually going to give it again to a tie. And that's because El Primo and Colt both are just really outclassed, outgunned, and they're just not really in this meta right now. It seems like more of a long-range meta, and I know Colt is somewhat of a long-range brawler, but Colt is kind of like, he's really decent at most things, but he's not really great at any one map. Kind of like Bo. Colt does excel in Heist, so that's a good thing. But for the other maps, it's just like, he's good, and he can do a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but he's just not really, really great at any one thing. And for this game, I think it's a good thing where brawlers are very map and game mode specific. I actually like that, where you're seeing more of Dynamike on closed off maps with a bunch of walls, and you're seeing more Piper and Brock on open up maps. I think that's cool. It makes it to where you can't just use one brawler for everything. It makes you invest in more than just one, and it really varies up the gameplay quite a bit, and I like that. But El Primo, boy, El Primo was one of the best, man. When the game first started off, I guess maybe just it was early on, and he was such a beast that nobody had to unlock like Piper and Bo, because those are pretty good counters to him. But he just kind of has fallen out of touch in this meta right now. And El Primo, although he's got a ton of health, his range is pretty minimal, but his super's really awesome. Great mobility. And don't get me wrong, in the hands of a really good player and a good map, El Primo can be a beast. Don't get me wrong. But he's just really not very great right now all around. I mean, he's countered by a lot of different things. His mobility is very poor, and his range is really poor. So, you know, his health makes up for it some, but it doesn't make up for it completely. So there's my list. The very best, we've got Jessie and Piper, and the very worst, we've got El Primo and Colt. So that's my list, at least for here in August 2017. I'll do another one soon after we get another round of balance changes, maybe even introduce a new brawler. We'll see how they are. But until then, let me know what you guys think about this list. Would you disagree? Do you agree? You know, I like all these brawlers. In fact, all of the brawlers that I've named, I like them. I've played with them. Not El Primo very much, just because I kind of suck at him. But all the brawlers are good, so don't be mad if I'm hating on your favorite brawler. I'm just saying that most of the times I'm actually just saying that they're not as versatile as, or they don't excel on anything that really makes them shine. So let me know what you guys think of the list. Who's your worst? Who's your best brawler? And until next time, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Lex out.